Hello and welcome back to Alice Goes Sailing. In this episode we're going to be doing something very exciting aboard Meraki. We're finally getting an autopilot from the kind people at Raymarine. Obviously they've seen my experiences with the tiller. For example, going over to the Isles of Scilly, that was at least 10 hours on the tiller straight. So this is much needed and we're going to get that installed on board Meraki today. Now before I get this installed, we've actually got to loosen up the rudder and tiller mechanism a bit, because it's very stiff, which was all right when I didn't have this, because I could let go and do what I needed to do. But since we're getting this, and I want this to be efficient as possible, and not fighting resistance, we've got to loosen it up. So we're going to loosen it up and then fit this. So stay tuned. Right, we're on the boat now, and this is the tiller. I spent many hours with this one, so hopefully that'll be a little bit less in this season. Now this is custom made, it didn't come with the boat. It looks very nice, someone spent a lot of time on this. It's basically some sort of bendy joint here, and then it brings it back nice and tight back here, and then this just clamps on. So I've actually had it apart before, but it's nice and easy, a couple of bolts and it should slide apart. You can also see how stiff that is. Like, that's a thumb. I'm struggling to push it with just my thumb. Right, after all that work, we finally got this top piece off. Hopefully that's where all the resistance is. As you can tell, it's quite hard getting off, so that might be the reason. Now, the reason why I think that is he's got a very tight bearing here and a tight bearing up top. I can twist the actual rudder with my hands, and that's here without any leverage, so I think all the resistance is in these two parts here. Right, I've now removed the offending article, and you can see just there, and at this end it's like a plasticky rubbery bearing thingy. See, so that is a lot lighter. And yes, I know this isn't a hammer. Right. That is a lot smoother. Right, so I'm gonna run a little test. I got this little luggage scale thing, and we're just gonna pull. So before, I had it go up to about 13, 14 kg to actually push and pull this. So 3 kg of force to pull this, and then probably at the point at which it's gonna be mounted, the pin, it's about 5 kg where the things we mounted in terms of leverage wise. Now that we've got the tiller loosened up in the back, we can finally install the tiller pilot. Now Raymarine kindly sent this over to me because they could clearly see I needed it. But this is an ST2000 plus, so overrated for my boat, because this can kick out 75 kilograms of thrust pretty much. So yeah, in the kit it comes with this, you get the power connectors, and then also in this box of bits over here, I've been rummaging through this. I picked up an extension because I might need that. We've got the cap for the electrical socket, so you can see there, got the little connectors in the back. To torch your Raymarine gear and things like that on the NEMA network, C-Torque. So yeah, and that'll just plug up to the plug that comes attached already to the little tiller pilot. And then see this little pin here, that's for this little socket here, so that mounts onto the boat. And then it also comes with a pin, and then because I've got this bracket, because I need to drop it down away from the tiller, because my tiller goes up quite high, and they've got another little pin that will just bolt in on this one end, so that'd be quite nice. And then Since my tiller is actually round stainless steel, as you can see in the back of the boat up there, see it's nice and round, I've decided that since this will be bolted up from the underside onto a round surface, you'll get a lot of twisting. I've actually 3D printed myself this little bracket which will cup the stainless steel, and it'll just fit on top just like that, and it'll hopefully prevent so much twisting and keep it more in a kind of shear movement. So yeah, nice and simple, quite easy to install. I've got some power cables already run up to the back that's switched and fused, so that's perfect. So all we've got to do is screw in 2 wires to that and mount it at the back of the boat. Drill 1 hole for this in the back, which I think is 12.5 mil they require, and you need about 1 inch of depth into wherever you're mounting it, nice solid 1 inch. So I might have to add a little bit of backing somehow, and that gets epoxied in. And then yeah, I've got to try and drill through stainless steel onto the tiller to get this bolted on. So apart from that, should be nice and easy. I'll walk through all of the measurements because that comes in the handy little instruction manual, so that's good to do. So let's get cracking. Right, we're on board Meraki now, and you can see here's my tiller, nice and loose, which is really good. Here is the tiller pilot, and what I was thinking on my boat is have it mounted somewhere off here, because it sits about right, it's out of the way, somewhere like there. It'll sit down a bit low because I need to drill the hole for this. But this is a very nice solid mounting, loads of tight shapes here to make it nice and structurally solid, so that's nice there. And I think it's pretty thick there too, so I might have to add a little bit of backing, but yeah, pretty good. And then that'll come across to this bracket, which will just plop on there. Now as for the measurements, you'll be able to see in the instruction booklet here, I'll show you that there. You can see here are all the critical measurements and kind of how they want it all set up, and they give you all the dimensions for the holes you need to drill and things like that. So the first critical measurement is from this pin to the pin back here to where those mount. So if you can see that there, so wherever this pin sits here and where it meets up with the center line of your tiller, it has to be exactly 589 millimeters. So I think I've worked out I might need a little bit of a spacer, but we'll see wherever I end up mounting this, because I've got a bit of play on the edge over here. And the next important measurement is how far the pin sits on the tiller when it comes off on this bracket, how far it sits away from the axis of your rudder here. So when that tube comes up and whatever axis, you've got to measure at 90 degrees from that axis to find out where your pin's got to be, and then kind of from there you can work out exactly where 90 is off of here. And the other measurement is the up and down, which is about 47.5 mil. So yeah, that's why I needed this bracket, because if I had that mounted down in the hole, that'd be sat there. If I mounted the pin either, well, on the top over here, I'd have to angle this up there, and that's no good for anything. So you want to bring that down level, and those measurements should help you find what you need. So if you're measuring on your own boat, just take a look at online on their little instruction manual, and you can just find out what you need in terms of bits and bobs. But I needed this bracket to bring that lower down, just to bring it to there. So yeah, we're going to start measuring up and figuring out where I need to put the holes in here and the hole over here, and then we can start drilling and install. But not many things to do, so it should be quite quick and easy, apart from drilling through stainless. That's going to be difficult. So first thing I'm going to do is measure the distance from the tiller axis. Alright, you can see there, I can slide that back and forth now. I think what I will do as well is actually attach the pin to here loosely. So this is the pin, I've just taken off one of the nuts, but that'll just drop in there. We twist up the nut at the bottom. I'm not going to do it up nice and tight just yet, but it's pretty much where it's sitting. That's dead straight there. So I think now if I find my tape measure, we always lose that. This one's been in the salt, so it's a bit crusty, but it'll work just fine. Now the measurement we want to use is 460 millimeters, or 18 inches for you Americans. And if we go from about there, which is about the center line, we've got to come, oh, I was close, come forward a touch, maybe there. So that is there, perfect. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark that up, So what I've got is this little marker thing. What it is basically is it's like a compressed bit of paint, like a spray can almost, and you push down that head and it squirts paint, dye, whatever. It's green, so that's good for getting into the deep holes you can't really mark with like a pencil or things like that. So I'm going to use it here. That's nice and square. I'm going to double check my measurement again just to make sure it hasn't moved. Looks about square. And then, oh, just like that. So that's marked it quite well. That little green mark is the perfect hole. So I'm going to drill that. I'm going to try and tap it because that would be nicer than having a bolt going all the way through. But if I have to, I'm going to put a bolt all the way through. Right, now it's time to take the tiller into the shed and get this drilled out. Right, we're in the shed now, and I've got my pillar drill here. I've got it set up. I've just done a pilot hole just to see how the stainless steel was going to be. And it's a relatively thin tube, so it's not too bad. Highly recommend the cobalt drill bits because it slices through stainless steel. But yeah, 3mm hole we've got at the minute. We're going to drill it out to 5 so that I can then thread it to a 6mm hole. So let's drill this hole. Safety glasses on. And just like that, see, we have one hole in there. So I'm going to go get the tap and try to tap the hole and see if we can get a bolt in there. Now the important thing is to try and get this as square as possible. So it just starts gripping on. So it's gripped on now. And it's pretty square. So you can start backing it off. Turn, back off some. Thread it in some more. I'll clean out the threads a bit. So that seems to have gone quite well. And now that the hole's nice and drilled out and tapped, we've got a little bolt here, and we're just gonna thread that on. Threads on quite nicely. Now over here I have a well labelled selection of stainless steel bolts, and they're all A4, can't be having A2. And I think I'm going to use this one, so same as the other one, and then I believe 2 washers just there. Perfect. But you can see, nice and tidy and organised, exactly what it should be. Now it's just a case of bolting it on. So take the 3D printed mount, the holes line up, and we take our bracket. They're quite long bolts, but they seem to fit in there, so there's no point cutting them. So they're both threaded. I'm going to have to go find myself some sort of Allen key. Try to do that up. Let's see how tight we can go. So you don't want to go too tight because otherwise you'll strip the threads. I think that's about as tight as I want to go there. And at this end. That feels pretty solid to me. It's in the vise and I'm pushing it back and forward, so I'm quite confident about that. I've got a bit dirty. Oh well. Alright, that's all done, the final product. You don't get any twisting with that little support from that 3D printed part, which is nice. And the benefit of that. And this is printed in ASA, so it's UV resistant. I might do it in black. I have black, which I just had white in it, so this is a test, so I could always switch this out to black, which I might just do. Right, back on the boat. Let's pop this one on. Just like that. Lovely. Nice and solid, not going anywhere. Right, the next thing to do is measure from this pin across to this side over here, and you can see in the instructions, pin to pin should be 589 millimeters across. That first dot you see there is where it brings me to, and this has to be at 90 to the tiller obviously, but that is where the first mark brings me. Now I've got to drill a hole and fit that into that hole. Now I'll have to add a little bit of backing plate to this because this isn't quite as thick as 1 inch, because it needs 1 inch thickness to make it nice and strong. Also it'd be very difficult because you've got a set thickness off of here, so this would be right on the edge, which isn't great. So what I've had to do is get an extension for the actual tiller pilot. Right, you can see the end here. If I just unscrew this is where that pin sits in the tiller. So unscrew that in there. This is a 25mm extension, so it's got the threaded end, which you would thread into here. So you thread that on. It's a nice machined piece of what's probably aluminium or something. So nice bit of metal, and this end's plastic, so that will just screw on. And then you've got a little extension. Now they do larger ones like 2-inch, 3-inch. But yeah, so you can have it suit whatever you need, and then you just snug that up until it's in line, and that's your little extension. So what that extension then gets me is allowing me to put the hole right in the middle. If I grab my little brass socket, that should, nice and snug fit, drop in there, and then that just gets epoxied in. Right, we've got the tiller pilot. We have power because I've hooked up the cables just there. So 1 and 2. So 1 is positive, 2 is negative. So those are connected up. They're switched and fused back to my circuit board, so I can flick them on and off. Nice and easy. 4 bolts or screws go in there. I'm just going to figure out where I want to mount that, but for now I've got it hooked up. I'll waterproof that so it's nice and tidy, and mount it somewhere around here, maybe in this back panel or something, just so the wires get nice and out of the way. She works really nice. So that's as far as I got that way, and come back the other way. That's as far as we got that way, so it's quite far. I'd never really put it much further back than that unless I'm actually like steering quite hard, and that tends to be in a marina. Right, now that we've got this all installed, tomorrow I'm going down to the Solent to go sailing, and I need to calibrate this tiller pilot because you need to calibrate it for the first time, so that's what I'm going to do. So next time you see me, I'll be on the water. Right, we're out sailing, we're out of the harbour. There's Hailing Island in front there, Langstone Harbour entrance, and Hailing entrance just back there. Now we've got our fresh tiller pilot installed, working a treat, absolutely lovely. Haven't had to touch this thing in such a long time, and this allows me to eat. So that's breakfast, 2 pan chocolats, which should be very, very nice. But yeah, hardly uses any power, which is nice. Solar panels kicking in, sun's coming out. Yeah, absolute bliss. The wind could be a bit more wind, but yeah, all in all, pretty good. Now I'm going to be using this tiller pilot quite a lot this season with all the trips I have coming up. Hopefully this install video was helpful to some of you, and I will see you guys in the next one.